Hello everyone, welcome to this session on why to learn cloud computing. Today in this session, I'll guide you through some points which will be important for you if you are in the verge of deciding which cloud career or which career to choose in general to switch from your current IT job. All right, having said that, let's go ahead and look at the agenda that we have planned for you guys. So the first thing that I'm gonna explain to you is what is cloud computing, and then we are going to move on and understand why exactly should I be worried about cloud, right? Why is cloud such a thing which everyone is talking about these days? Once that is done, we'll talk about some of the cloud jobs. So because cloud has a lot of demand, which we'll understand in why cloud, we'll go ahead and discuss, since it has a lot of demand, since it has a lot of perks in terms of salaries, right? So what kind of jobs you can apply when you want to basically switch to the cloud domain. Once we're done with that, we'll move on and discuss how to become a cloud engineer. Now, all the cloud jobs that we'll be discussing, if you look at the umbrella term for it is cloud engineer. So once you become a cloud engineer, then you can specialize yourself in one of the cloud domains. That is what the cloud jobs will be all about. And then I'll tell you, if you are planning to become or switch to the cloud domain, how to become a cloud engineer exactly. And finally, I'll tell you guys how to get started. Now, with all the learning that I would give you, I would basically tell you the learning paths so as to you can become a cloud engineer. But once I tell you the learning part, how do you get started on that learning path, that we will discuss in the last part of our session. So guys, this is the agenda of this session. I hope it is clear to you. Now guys, go ahead, and if you have any queries, you have our live chat which is displayed on your screen on your right hand side. If you are on a desktop or in the mobile, you can just type it in the below part of your screen, right? And my team is here to help you out, and they'll be answering all your queries. Having said that, guys, let's go ahead and start with our first topic, which is what is cloud. So guys, cloud is nothing but the use of remote servers on the internet. So you don't use servers or you don't use computers of your own. For example, if you have a laptop, right? And let's say you have an i3 laptop, but let's say you have to run an application which requires an i7. So either you can go ahead and buy an i7 laptop and work on it, or what you can do is you can rent a system on the internet which will have an i7 processor, and you can run your application over there, right? So when you rent a server on the internet, that is exactly what cloud is all about, right? So when you're renting, there are some add-ons to it. So when you're renting, you will only be paying for whatever is the amount of time you're using that server. For example, if you use it for 5 minutes, you just have to pay for 5 minutes. If you use it for 1 hour, you just have to pay for 1 hour, right? So that is why cloud is so popular. And how is it helpful in today's age? Why are companies adopting cloud? Because if I am a company and let's say I have a fleet of 100 or 200 servers that I need to run in order to get my application up and running. Now, instead of buying 200 servers, I can actually rent them on cloud, and that would be more benefit. It will provide me more benefit, and the reason for that is, first of all, less investments, right? Because if you are buying servers, obviously there's a lot of money that is going in from your side, right? And if you rent it, like I said, you just have to pay the rent. And how much is the rent? It's as low as $0.0002 per hour, right? So if this is the kind of pricing you are getting, right, and you don't have to own your servers, you just have to rent them for the time you're using them, why not go ahead and use the cloud servers? So this is why cloud is becoming such a thing among all the startups that we have, or even bigger companies. MNCs have now started to adopt the cloud phenomena. So this is a very brief introduction to what cloud is. Obviously, there are more aspects to it, but if you talk about the definition, if you talk about what it is exactly, cloud is nothing but use of rented remote servers on the internet for your use. That's it, right? Now, why is cloud such a huge thing? Now, like I said, told you guys that uh, so first of all, monetary factor, if you look into it, provides you a lot of monetary benefits since you don't have to buy servers. And secondly, when you think it from the business perspective also, you would understand that let's say you want to start your own company, Now, you do not know the future of that company, right? And any company that you start, it requires a lot of investment from your side. Now, when you do not know the future and it requires a lot of investment, the risk automatically becomes high, right? So now what happens is any company, any young company which is coming in the market today, they all prefer cloud. Reason being, it amounts for less investment and hence less risk, right? Having said that, now let's discuss some of the points which will basically strengthen what I've just said. Okay, so according to Forbes, the cloud engineer job profile is among the top 15 job profiles of highest paying tech jobs. Now, this is the reason for you as to why you should learn cloud. Now, we talked about companies using cloud, but this is a reason as to why you should choose the cloud domain, because it's among the top 15 paying jobs in the world, right? Second point is that according to Forbes, the average median salary of a cloud professional is $146,350. Now, this is a lot of money, guys, when you talk it in terms of US standards, right? So this is the average salary. Now, imagine even a person who is a cloud engineer would be earning more than this per annum, which would be around, he can earn anything up to, for what I've heard with among my tech circle, I've seen people even earning $400 to $500,000, right, per annum. And it could go well beyond that as well, because cloud nowadays, it's basically a skill, right? When I say a skill, what do I mean by that? If you are the CTO of the company, as a skill, you should know cloud, right? Even if you are a junior developer and you are trying to develop applications, if that company is using cloud, you should know cloud computing, right? Having said that, moving ahead, let's also talk about Glassdoor. So according to Glassdoor, in the last month, 5,765 jobs were posted in India with respect to the cloud domain. And the same number in the US is 33,272. Right? So there's a lot of demand, and every month you get these kind of numbers which are posted on these websites, right? According to Canalys, AWS owns 31.5% of the cloud market share. Now, why is AWS here? Because AWS is one of the top cloud providers. Now, we'll talk more on this as we move along, but for now, just understand it as a metric, right? Similarly, if we talk about Report Linker, the global cloud computing market is expected to reach $623 billion by 2023, right? And right now, the past year, which is 2019, the number was 258 billion. So you can just imagine the kind of market that it has to capture in the next 3 years itself, right? So if you learn cloud right now, I guess it would be beneficial for you in the future, because the kind of jobs which are going to come in will be more in the future. And obviously, it also, competition also affects what you're doing right now. So if we talk about competition, what I'm trying to tell you is that right now there are not a lot of people who are applying for cloud jobs. In the next 3 years, each and every tech individual, it will become a necessity for them to learn cloud in order to get jobs. The reason for that, I told you that most or all of the companies which I can think of, because it's a business decision that you have to take. Should I buy servers or should I rent them, right? And if you're a product based company and you don't have anything confidential on your servers, for example, like Sony does, or companies like any government agency does, I don't think you have any reason of not shifting to cloud. Why I said this is because some companies have a policy that we cannot take the risk of putting our data on public infrastructure. But I mean, there is no risk involved actually, because when you talk about cloud security best practices, I'm pretty sure a person who is sitting in AWS or Azure or Google Cloud, a cloud engineer over there who is handling the security for your servers on the cloud, would be better than a cloud security guy that you hire in your firm. Right? So going by this logic, I think your data is more secure on the cloud than it is on your servers where you handle all your security. Right? So having said that, so what are the points that we discussed? Why are people preferring cloud in terms of companies? Because first of all, it has a simple per hour or per minute billing, right? Then when we talk about AWS, if you go ahead and learn AWS and cloud, it has the Amazon's brand name, which is the biggest e-retailing company in the world, right? And it's easy to set up any cloud provider that you go for, right? It is very easy to set up your own profile over there. All right, now let's talk about, so what we have seen as of now is that we have understood what cloud is. We have understood that cloud actually has a lot of demand in the market right now. There are the revenue that cloud is going to generate is going to triple in the next 3 years, and hence it's the right time to shift to cloud. So if now you are convinced you have to move to cloud, let's look at some of the jobs that you can actually apply for, right? So if you have to apply for jobs, let's look at the skills or the tech quotient that you would have to develop in yourself. All right, so first of all, let's look at the roles and responsibilities, and then probably I will summarize the cloud jobs section with the required skills. Okay, so if you are applying for a job such as a cloud infrastructure engineer in Cisco, these are the things that you would need to know. So you would need to know DevOps. You would need to know cloud applications on AWS. You will have to know about EC2, which is again an AWS service, VPC, which is again an AWS service. And of course, it's just not AWS and EC2. If you talk about jobs in general, which are out there, they will expect you to know a lot of cloud providers such as AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud Platform. All right. If you talk about a cloud support engineer who's working in Amazon, again, he would expect you to know AWS. He would expect you to know Google Cloud. He would expect you to know, troubleshooting on Linux, right? You would be expected to know Java, Perl, Ruby, Python. You would be expected to know how to manage full stack applications on servers, right? Similarly, if you apply for a job in McAfee as a cloud engineer, again, you would be expected to know AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, API scripting, right? CloudFormation, Python, Puppet, Ansible, Chef. So these are all DevOps concepts and cloud concepts that you will have to know. Now, summarizing, what are the roles and responsibilities for you as a cloud engineer? So you would be a part of, planning, implementing, and architecting an architecture on cloud. Now, I just told you guys that cloud is all about servers on the internet. Now, how do you use multiple servers together? That you would learn when you are learning cloud, right? How to use them efficiently together to get a job done. Why? Because as you know, let's take an example of, let's say, Netflix. Now, Netflix is an application which is completely hosted on cloud. Which cloud is it hosted on? It is hosted on the AWS cloud, right? So it is completely hosted on AWS. Now, you can imagine the kind of traffic which Netflix, encounters. There's a huge surge of traffic which comes on Netflix every day, right? And how to manage that traffic depends on the number of servers that you have in your backend which are managing your traffic. And obviously, when you talk about traffic is not the same every time. It could be that at 3 p.m. you have low traffic, but at the end of the day where everyone is done with their offices and all, their traffic becomes more because they go back and they watch their favorite episode. So at 3 p.m. the traffic is less. So as a cloud architect, you would be expected to save money also for the company. And also you would have to design an architecture which automatically scales up and down according to the traffic need. So that is also what a cloud architect is responsible for. And this is possible, the automatic scaling of your architecture in cloud. So you would have to know that. You would have to know about how full stack applications work. You should not know how to code full stack applications, but how they work is basically very important, right? Then you should also know how to migrate existing applications from your on-prem servers to the cloud infrastructure. Because obviously, if let's say some company that you have been hired in, it was not working on cloud as of now, right? And now to save money, they want to shift their existing application which is there on-prem to cloud. So how can you help them in that? That is also a skill that you should know. That is how to migrate existing applications to cloud, right? And obviously the knowledge of different cloud platforms. Now, what are cloud platforms? I told you about Google Cloud, I told you about AWS, I told you about Azure. What are these exactly? Now, cloud is basically a business model. What is a business model? Basically a model which is profitable. Which means if I have to, open a company which can provide or rent servers to people, so I will adopt the cloud model of business, right? Which basically tells me that I will charge my customers on the basis of minutes, and I will buy servers and I will make them available through a software application through which my customers can launch servers. So three prominent companies which are leading and are profitable are right now Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and AWS. Right now, these three companies are working, and these companies say that, what, I will buy servers, you can run them from my side. Right, so these companies have adopted the cloud model, and these are the three options that a customer gets when he wants to use cloud computing. Right, so when you are hired as a cloud engineer, a company would prefer Google Cloud or AWS, or they can also prefer mixture of AWS, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure. So you as a cloud engineer who is an expert in cloud should actually know these three cloud providers prominently. Now, only these three cloud providers are not there. There are a lot of other cloud providers as well. For example, you have DigitalOcean, you have a lot of other clouds as well. But these three are the top three cloud providers. And if I talk to you in terms of jobs, if you see the jobs, 95% of the jobs which would talk about only these three cloud providers. Okay, so having said that, cloud providers knowledge is a must, and you should also know about DevOps, machine learning tools, etc. Machine learning is actually not required, DevOps, but is very important. Right, having said that, so what are the skills that we have roughly talked about? So you should know AWS, Azure, GCP, you should know Python, you should know Linux, you should know these DevOps tools, you should know about APIs, you should know about web services, and you should know about how full stack applications work. Okay, so what are the required skills that we have discussed? So you should know all the three cloud providers, that is AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. If you want to become a successful cloud engineer, you should know at least one programming languages. The most famous one is Python, so why not learn that? Right, you should have a background on Linux or Unix. Right, you should know DevOps, and you should know about APIs. So if you get these skills in yourself, you're apt to become a cloud engineer. Now, it could be that you have some of these skills, or it could be you have none of the skills. Don't worry, I will give you a learning path so that you can decide as to how to become a cloud engineer, or if you want to switch or not, or would it be possible from your end or not. Okay, having said that, let me also talk about some of the salaries, because it's always good to know, if you are putting this much energy into learning something, what will you get? So in the US, like I told you, right, the average salary is around $130,000. In India, the average salary is about 7 lakhs per annum. And in the UK, the average salary is 60,000 pounds per annum. But remember, guys, this is average. So based on your skills, based on your experience, you can fetch a far more higher salary, right? For example, if I have some friends in India who are earning up to 45 lakhs per annum just by becoming a cloud engineer. So what they are right now are basically cloud and DevOps engineer, but that exactly, like I said, is an umbrella term for cloud engineer. As a cloud engineer, you would be expected to know DevOps. So my friends, they know clouds, they know DevOps through and through, and obviously they're good at their work, and they have around 7 years or 8 years of experience down their belt, and they are able to earn around 45 lakhs per annum, right? So I've told you all these things. I've told you about the jobs, I've told you about the required skills, I've told you everything. So how can you start this journey of becoming a cloud engineer? Let's discuss that. So first, let's discuss what the cloud engineer is. A cloud engineer is basically a guy who would go ahead and architect applications, architect servers, architect how they interact with each other, architect there are a lot of services which each cloud provider provides, how to use each of these cloud services for your work. This much knowledge if you have, and if you know how to make two services interact with each other, this is what the job of a cloud engineer is, right? When you become a little senior, you would actually not be expected to work on the cloud platform. You would just be expected to create a plan which your system admins or the people who are under you can actually execute, right? But that is about the senior roles. But when I say senior, I mean people who are 10 to 15 years experienced, but people who are 5 to 7 years experience, they would be expected to work hands-on on your cloud provider's dashboard. Okay, so planning is a part, architecting is a part, managing is a part, and monitoring and support is also a part of your job. Now, whether you get it done by someone else or you do it on your own depends on your experience, right? Now, as a cloud engineer, if you want to get recognized while applying to companies, you would have to have some certifications. So what certifications are we talking about? I told you 3 cloud providers. I told you AWS, Microsoft Azure, and I told you Google Cloud, right? Now these 3 companies, they offer happen to have certifications with respect to their technologies. So if you go ahead and do their certifications, so my recommendation would be do all the 3 certifications. But if you want to start off, you can just start off with one. You can either choose Google Cloud or Azure or AWS, and you can start applying for jobs. Because like I said, when you know all the 3, you are actually applying for the senior kind of a role. But when you know just one, for example, if you are a fresher, or if let's say if you have just done with 2 or 3 years of your job, you can actually go ahead and do only one certification and then go ahead and apply for jobs. You will not get salaries like 20 or 25 lakhs per annum initially, because you just know one cloud provider. But as and when you learn more about cloud providers, you learn about how things work, you get more experience about deploying applications and all, you can touch that salary bar as well, right? So if you talk about the Google Cloud certification, just a Google Cloud guy can earn easily around $139,000 in the US. In India, it's a little less. You can earn around 80,000, 85,000 per month if you are a Google Cloud engineer. If you are an AWS certified engineer, this is the average salary. But in India, it is again 70 to 80,000 rupees per month, right? And again, in AWS also, you have solutions architect, which is about planning, architecting. And then the other certification is the developer certification, which basically talks about if you are an application developer, how to develop applications for the cloud is what this particular certification is all about, which is the AWS certified developer certification. So that will fetch you around $130,000. If you become an architect, the average would be around $132,000 in the US. In India, like I said, it will be around 70 to 80,000 rupees per month. And even a developer, his salary can range between 60,000 and around 1.7 lakhs per annum if you're just doing development, right? If you're not managing anything, this is the amount that you can get in hand if you get certified, right? And if you go ahead and want to become certified in Azure, so and as an Azure guy, you can get this kind of a salary. And only if you know Azure in India also, you can get around 50 to 70,000 rupees, right? And depending on your experience, if you gain more experience and if you have more experience on your belt, and like I said, if you know Linux through and through, if you know full stack applications also, you can earn around 2 to 2.5 lakhs at the maximum if you just know Azure also, right? But my recommendation, like I said, would be to get certified in all the 3 domains, which is AWS, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure, right? Having said that, now the most wanted certification right now in the cloud industry is the AWS certification. Why? Because like I said, 31% of the market is captured by AWS, which basically means if you look out for jobs, 70% of those jobs will only talk about or will have AWS somewhere here and there in their job skills, right? 30% of jobs which will be jobs which basically ask for more salary will basically expect all the 3, which is AWS, Azure, and Microsoft Azure. But 70%, like I said, would be talking just about AWS, and the other 10%, 15% would talk about only Azure or only Google Cloud. But that is rare, right? Most of the companies who just are working on a single cloud provider are asking for AWS as a cloud platform that you should know. Okay. Apart from that, skills like Python, Linux, scripting would also be an added advantage under your belt if you are applying for a job as a cloud engineer. Okay. Now, companies, or let's talk about some other roles. Now let's say you don't want to become a cloud engineer, and you are currently fine in your job profile that you're working in. So as a software engineer, if you're working in 10% of the job description, they already have cloud or AWS or Azure or Google Cloud as a requirement. And in the next 3 years, as the revenue is going to grow for cloud, obviously more companies going to adopt it, and this number is going to increase, right? So if you're a software engineer now, probably you should go ahead and pull up your socks and learn cloud. If you are a senior software engineer, 6 to 7% of the companies are asking for cloud as a skill. If you are a software architect, again 6 to 7% people have it. If you're a DevOps engineer, 6% to 7%. For junior profiles, 6 to 7% is there. For senior profiles, around I'll say 60 to 70% expect that you should know cloud, right? And as a full stack developer, if you're good at what you do, and if you're a full stack developer, 5% of the job profiles on the internet right now, they expect you to know cloud, right? And this 5% number would be the cream, obviously, because if you are a full stack developer, or if you're a software architect, or if you're a DevOps engineer, or if you're a senior software engineer, you already know a lot of your work, right? You're very good at your work, and that is why you're at these senior profiles. But apart from these work, what I'm trying to tell you is cloud has also become a necessity that you should learn or will have to learn in the next 2 or 3 years. So why not upgrade now? All right. Having said that, now these are some of the other job profiles, and these are the numbers. These are the number of JDs that basically have cloud as a requirement right now in these job profiles. Right now, let's go ahead and talk about various job roles which basically are there in cloud. So you have solutions architect, you have cloud developer, you have sysops administrator, you have cloud network engineer, cloud DevOps engineer. These are some of the top-notch profiles which are very high paying, which are right now available. And if you search on Indeed or Glassdoor or any other job portal, you would directly start to get JDs, and you can compare the stats with whatever I've told you in this session, and you would be rest assured that it is in demand right now. Right now, having said that, I've just told you what all things you will have to know. You will have to know Python, you will have to know Linux, you will have to know Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, AWS, and the other skills that I've told, right? So how to get started with these skills and how to learn what to learn first, right? So we also happen to offer, a course on getting you started on the track of becoming a cloud engineer. And what we recommend is this learning path. So, in terms of languages that are basically additional that you have to learn in cloud, you should learn Java or you should learn Python, right? So we have included both Python and Java in our training because most of the JDs, they expect either Python or Java majorly. That's why we have Python and Java included as a part of our training. We teach you, so once you're done with the programming language, we then go ahead and teach you Linux, right? We also teach you Microsoft Azure. We teach you the cloud computing general concepts. We also teach you big data because that is also part of job description of most of the profiles. And these are the 5 topics that we majorly focus on. So we teach AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google through and through, and that we offer in the online training that we impart to our learners. Now, these are the training which are self-paced, right? Which basically mean that the learner can learn it on their own pace at any point that they want. But these are the trainings that we are more particular about, which is AWS, Azure, DevOps, Python, and Google Cloud. And then these we teach with respect to the industry experts. So all these sessions are taught to you by people who are already cloud engineers in the market right now, right? Who are already earning more than 30, 35, 40 lakhs per annum. So these are the people who are going to teach you, and they're going to guide you as to what all things you should learn. Right. So if you are interested, to be taught by industry experts like this, you can actually go ahead on this link and you can learn it. Otherwise, if you want to try on your own as well, this is the path that we recommend, that you should go ahead and start learning it, right? So with this, guys, I would like to conclude. But like I said, see, cloud is in demand right now. So whether you take action now or you want to take it 2 years later, it'll just be that the competition would be more and be a little difficult to fit in and, take the most out of, getting ahead in your career. So if you start right now, and if you go ahead in the next 6 months, you can actually become a cloud engineer if you take our course, or if you're doing it by your own and you know what has to be done, again, it'll take around 6 to 8 months, right? So go ahead, apply for jobs, and if you're really interested, do it right now, because everything can be done later. But when you do it later, obviously the perks are less. If you do it right now, you can actually go ahead and get ahead in your career from a lot of other people also who are basically planning to make a shift in their career. Having said that, guys, I thank you a lot for attending this session today. I hope this was useful, right? And I hope you got your doubts cleared in your chat window. So we are also running this coupon right now. So anybody who goes ahead and enrolls for the course after watching this video, right, you can get a flat 30% off. So if you are interested, you can actually go ahead and hit these numbers up, and we would be getting back to you with all the details, right? Or you can also mail us at 24/7 our email ID, which is sales@intellipaat.com. These numbers are also 24/7, right? And you can have a chat with us and we can tell you all the features that are part of our training. Having said that, guys, have a great day ahead, and I'll see you in some other session. Have a great day and goodbye.